Hi, and welcome to That's Ruddy Mysterious, a podcast of short tales about true mysteries. What happened to the Flannan Isles Lightkeepers? Who was responsible for the Gardner Museum heist? I'm not going to solve those mysteries, but they'll be interesting to learn about. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. Transcripts for all episodes can be found at that'sruddymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point. Today's tale is about the Phoenix Lights. Between around 7:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on March 13th, 1997, in Arizona and Nevada, thousands of people witnessed two unique but seemingly totally related phenomena. The first sighting was reported near Henderson, Nevada around 8:15 p.m. It was in the sky about 300 miles from the Nevada state line, moved southeast quickly through Phoenix, and then on to the edge of Tucson. That would be just the beginning of the UFO sightings in the area that night. The first event was a large triangular object passing over the state. It began over Prescott at 8:15 p.m., traveled south to Phoenix at about 8:30, and then traveled over Tucson at 8:45. The total distance traveled in that half-hour period was 200 miles. That's 400 miles per hour. Witnesses would describe the first object as very large, with 5 spherical lights and shaped like a carpenter's square. The actor Kurt Russell was flying a small plane at the time of the sighting. He reported what he saw to ground control. He told the BBC, "I was flying my son to go see his girlfriend, and we're on approach, and I saw 6 lights over the airport, absolutely uniform, in a V shape." Some witnesses said the object was very large and obscured the stars behind it. 2 stargazers happened to be in their backyards gazing at stars at the time of the event. They described seeing a group of aircraft with square wings. They said it looked like military aircraft in some sort of formation. This doesn't seem plausible, however, since the flight path of the UFO would have brought it into airport airspace, and they would have had to report to ground control. This also doesn't seem plausible because most of the witnesses described the UFO as silent, and military aircraft would make some noise. Only some of the witnesses said that the UFO made any sound. The second event was a series of stationary lights seen over Phoenix around 10 p.m. When videos of the night's events are shown, this is most often the event that's seen. The first person to report this sighting was a former police officer. He said it looked like a string of lights that slowly sank to Earth. People who saw this object said that it looked like a group of lights hovering silently overhead and arcing slowly from side to side. They said the object kept disappearing and reappearing. The morning after the sightings, Governor of Arizona, Fife Symington III, had a press conference where he poked fun at the idea that the area had been visited by aliens. He had an aide come out in front of the cameras dressed as an alien and claimed they'd found who was responsible. 10 years later, though, he had changed his tune. He said he'd witnessed the event and he described it as otherworldly. He said he initially reacted the way he did so as not to cause a panic. In 2007, Symington said, "I'm a pilot and I know just about every machine that flies. It was bigger than anything that I've ever seen. It remains a great mystery. Other people saw it, responsible people. I don't know why people would ridicule it." What were those unidentified flying objects over Arizona? Some believe we were visited by aliens that night. They say the size of the craft and the speed at which it moved is proof it was from another planet. They say we don't have the technology on Earth right now to account for the object. Some believe the object was a new experimental military aircraft. This seems plausible enough. However, the military denied knowledge of any such aircraft. And in the over 20 years since, we still haven't seen any sort of aircraft out of the military that would account for the sightings. Years after the sightings, the Maryland Air National Guard took credit for the 10 p.m. sightings. They claimed to have dropped flares to light ground trainings and that those flares slowly descended to Earth lingering for a while and occasionally being blocked by the mountain range nearby. Some skeptics say that the difference between the light of the flare and the dark background could make it look as though there's a large object obscuring the sky in between flares. The military also explained the earlier sightings. They said they'd been running A-10 Warthog trainings, and that's why the lights were in a triangular formation. Whatever the UFO above Arizona was in 1997, it wasn't to be the last time the area would experience this sort of unexplained phenomenon. There have been many other sightings. 2 notable occasions were in 2007 and 2008. On February 5, 2007, witnesses saw 4 amber-colored lights that appeared stationary to some witnesses. The military took responsibility for this event. They say they dropped flares, some attached to helium balloons at this time. On April 21, 2008, witnesses again saw lights over Phoenix. The red lights appeared as a line, and then a square, and then they changed shapes to a triangle. Air traffic controllers at 2 different Arizona airports witnessed this event. Neither NORAD nor radar showed anything in the airspace at all. The military has denied performing maneuvers at this time. After this incident, a man claimed that his neighbor was responsible. He said that the neighbor had been attaching flares to helium balloons and launching them from his backyard. Witnesses in a police helicopter say the explanation sounded plausible. The responsible party came forward anonymously. No further attempts were made and no explanation was provided. Some 20 years after the event, Phoenix Lights Network spokesman Lynn Katai said of the event, "It wasn't just one event. There were many events across the state for more than 12 hours. We don't have anything that big. It was totally silent. I've never seen anything even close to the colors from the exhaust that propelled that thing. It was as big as downtown Prescott and completely blocked out the stars." What was it that thousands of people witnessed over the skies of Arizona on March 13, 1997? Was it aliens? Is the military responsible? Was it all just a trick of the eye? What do you think? If you're listening on Spotify, scroll down and let me know what you think. Thanks for listening to today's episode of That's Ready Mysterious. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a review and follow That's Ready Mysterious to be updated about new episodes. Tune in next Tuesday for another thought-provoking tale.